Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed how a woman's mind never truly shuts off? From the moment she wakes up to the time she lays her head on the pillow, her thoughts are constantly racing. Plans to make, problems to solve, and people to take care of. A woman's brain is like a highway with no stop signs. She's thinking about the kids, the bills, her job, her relationships, what she needs to do tomorrow, and how to hold everything together. Even when she tries to sit down and take a deep breath, her mind is still running. But can I tell you something? That's because she was designed to carry so much. She was built strong, created with wisdom, and gifted with the ability to juggle multiple things at once. Yet even the strongest need rest. Even the most capable need moments of peace. Too often women feel guilty for taking time for themselves. But hear me today. God didn't create you to run on empty. He didn't form you to carry the weight of the world without moments of refreshing. Sometimes you have to give yourself permission to rest. Lay down the worries. Trust that what needs to be done will be done in its time. Learn to breathe, to exhale, to release the burdens that were never meant to be carried alone. You are powerful, you are strong, but you are also worthy of peace. When you slow down, when you trust, when you allow yourself to recharge, that's when you step into the fullness of who you were created to be. Have you ever noticed how a woman's mind never truly stops? From the moment she wakes up, her thoughts start racing like a fast-moving train, picking up new worries, responsibilities, and concerns at every stop. Before her feet even hit the floor, she's already thinking about what the day holds, what needs to be done, who needs her attention, what tasks must be accomplished. It's not a slow or steady process. It's a flood of thoughts, one after another, without a pause in between. The moment she opens her eyes, her mind begins working, often before her body is even ready to catch up. And it doesn't stop there. As she moves through her day, her thoughts jump from one thing to the next, seamlessly shifting between roles and responsibilities. She could be making breakfast for the kids while also thinking about the work presentation she needs to finish. While answering emails, she's mentally planning dinner. While folding laundry, she's making a mental checklist of bills that need to be paid. Even in what should be quiet moments, like driving home or sitting in a waiting room, her brain continues to process, analyze, and organize. It's like a computer with too many tabs open, all running at once. She can't simply close them because each one represents something important, something that needs her attention. This constant activity isn't just about tasks and to-do lists. It's emotional as well. A woman's heart is deeply connected to her thoughts, which means she carries not just her own emotions, but often the emotions of others. She thinks about how her child felt after a rough day at school, how her friend is struggling through a difficult season, how her spouse seemed a little off this morning. She replays conversations, wonders if she said the right thing, and worries if she's done enough. Her brain doesn't just function on logic, it runs on love, on care, on deep connections to the people in her life. Even in the quiet of the night, when the world has finally slowed down, her mind often refuses to follow. She lays in bed staring at the ceiling, mentally replaying the day. Did she forget something? Did she do enough? Did she make the right choices? The worries she tried to push aside during the day come rushing back in the stillness. It's not that she doesn't want to relax. It's that her brain simply won't let her. She feels the weight of everything she's responsible for. And even in the darkness, it's hard to turn that off. What makes it even harder is that society often expects her to manage this without breaking a sweat. She's expected to be strong, to hold everything together, to be the glue that keeps her family, her workplace, and her relationships intact. And she does it day after day without fail. But just because she does it well doesn't mean it's easy. Just because she carries it with grace doesn't mean it isn't heavy. People around her might assume she has it all under control, but inside she's constantly balancing, constantly managing, constantly thinking ahead. And yet, despite all of this, She rarely gives herself permission to slow down. She convinces herself that if she stops, even for a moment, something will fall apart. That if she doesn't keep going, something important will be left undone. She tells herself she can rest later after the work is done, after everyone else is taken care of, after all the responsibilities are met. But the truth is, there's always something more to do. There's always another responsibility waiting, another task calling her name. And so she pushes through, ignoring the exhaustion, ignoring the need for a break, because she believes it's just part of what she has to do. A woman's mind is always active, always moving, always working. It's part of who she is, part of how she was created. But that doesn't mean she should never have rest. It doesn't mean she has to carry everything alone. The world may expect her to keep going, but she must remember that even the strongest minds need moments of peace. Even the most capable hearts need time to breathe. And maybe, just maybe, it's okay to let go, if only for a little while. There's something undeniably powerful about a woman. She was created with an incredible ability to carry more than most people realize. She manages responsibilities, emotions, and expectations all at once, and she does it with grace, determination, and resilience. But this strength isn't just physical. It's mental, emotional, and spiritual. A woman doesn't just go through life. She carries life within her. She carries the weight of her family's needs, the concerns of her loved ones, and the expectations that society places upon her. And somehow she keeps going, no matter how heavy the load becomes. A woman's strength is evident in the way she pushes forward, even when she's tired. She gets up early to prepare for the day, whether that means getting kids ready for school, making sure the house is in order, or heading off to work. She didn't have the luxury of slowing down just because she's exhausted. Even when life throws unexpected challenges her way, she finds a way to adapt, to keep going, to do what needs to be done. It's not that she doesn't feel the weight of it all. She absolutely does. But there's something inside her that refuses to quit. This strength isn't just about endurance. It's about love. A woman loves with a depth that often goes unnoticed. She pours herself into others, her children, her spouse, her family, her friends. She listens when someone needs to talk, even when she's exhausted. She sacrifices her own comfort to make sure those around her are okay. And no matter how much she gives, she finds a way to give more, because that's what love does. It strengthens, it fuels, and it keeps her moving forward even when the road is difficult. But with all this strength, people often assume she doesn't need help. They see her handling everything so well, and they assume she's fine. They forget that just because she's strong doesn't mean she isn't struggling. They forget that even the strongest people get tired. Even the most capable women have moments when they feel overwhelmed, when they question if they can keep going. The problem is, a strong woman rarely asks for help. She tells herself she should be able to handle it. She convinces herself that leaning on others is a sign of weakness. And so she keeps pushing, keeps carrying the weight, even when it's too much. What many people don't realize is that this strength wasn't meant to be tested endlessly. Yes, she was designed to be strong, but she was never meant to do it all alone. Even the strongest people need rest. Even the most capable women need a break. Society has created this image of a woman who never slows down, who never complains, who never lets anything break her. But that's not what real strength looks like. Real strength isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about knowing when to step back, when to recharge, when to ask for help. Too often, a woman feels guilty for taking a moment for herself. She worries that if she slows down, she's letting someone down. If she asks for help, she's failing. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Strength isn't just about how much she can carry. It's about knowing when to put something down. It's about recognizing that she doesn't have to do everything alone. True strength is understanding that rest isn't a weakness. It's a necessity. She was designed for strength. She was built with the ability to endure, to love, to lead, and to nurture. But she was also created with the need to replenish, to take care of herself, to allow others to step in and support her. Strength isn't just about how much she can handle. It's about how well she takes care of herself in the process. And the strongest women are the ones who know that they don't have to carry the weight of the world on their own. A woman's heart is filled with love, care, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. She wants to make sure that everyone around her is taken care of, that no detail is left undone, that no need goes unnoticed. But in doing so, she often forgets about herself. When she even thinks about taking a break, doing something for her own well-being, or saying no to a request, guilt creeps in. It whispers in her ear, telling her that she's being selfish, that she should be doing more, that rest is a luxury she doesn't deserve. And so she pushes forward, ignoring her exhaustion, because the guilt is louder than her need for rest. This guilt isn't just something she feels internally, it's reinforced by the world around her. Society has conditioned women to believe that their worth is tied to how much they do for others. If a mother prioritizes her own needs, she's seen as neglectful. If a wife takes time for herself, she's considered inconsiderate. If a career-driven woman sets boundaries, she's labeled as cold. No matter what role she plays, there's an unspoken expectation that she must give endlessly without ever asking for anything in return. And when she tries to break free from that, guilt makes her second-guess herself. The truth is, guilt is a liar. It tells her that taking care of herself means neglecting others. But that couldn't be further from reality. When a woman is running on empty, when she's physically drained, emotionally depleted, and mentally exhausted, she cannot give her best to those around her. She can pour and pour into others, but if her own cup is empty, what is she really offering? Rest isn't selfish, it's necessary. Taking time for herself isn't neglecting her responsibilities, it's ensuring that she has the strength to continue carrying them. Think about a car running on fumes. No matter how powerful the engine is, without fuel, it will eventually break down. A woman's heart and mind are no different. She may be able to keep going for a while, running on determination and sheer willpower, but at some point, exhaustion will catch up to her. And when that happens, she won't just struggle with fatigue, she'll struggle with resentment, with burnout, with feeling like she's lost herself in the constant rush of doing for others. And that's why guilt must be silenced. She must remind herself that taking care of her own needs isn't wrong, it's wisdom. So why does guilt still linger? Because for so long she's been conditioned to put herself last. She's been taught that her value comes from how much she sacrifices. But the reality is, self-care doesn't take away from the people she loves. It actually benefits them. When she takes time to rest, to recharge, to do things that bring her joy, she becomes a better version of herself. She has more patience, more energy, more love to give. Her presence is fuller, her mind is clearer, her spirit is lighter. When she thrives, everyone around her benefits. It's time for women to release the guilt and embrace the truth. They are worthy of rest. They are worthy of joy. They are worthy of moments that belong solely to them without apology. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to say no. It's okay to ask for help. Strength isn't measured by how much she can endure before she breaks. It's measured by her ability to recognize when she needs to step back and refill her own cup. A woman's love is deep, her strength is immense, and her heart is full of care. But she is not just a caretaker, a provider, a worker, or a giver. She is a human being who deserves to be cared for too. She must remind herself every day that guilt has no power over her unless she gives it permission. And she must choose over and over again to let it go. A woman's strength is undeniable. She carries responsibilities on her shoulders, juggles multiple roles, and makes sure everyone around her is taken care of. She is a mother, a daughter, a wife, a friend, a leader, a nurturer, all at the same time. She shows up when she's exhausted, gives even when she has nothing left, and finds a way to push through when most people would give up. But just because she can do it all doesn't mean she was meant to. She wasn't created to run on empty. She wasn't designed to pour endlessly into others without ever being poured into herself. Think about a candle burning at both ends. It provides warmth and light, but at a cost, it burns out twice as fast. That's what happens when a woman gives and gives without replenishing herself. She tells herself that she'll rest when everything is done, but the truth is there's always something more to do. The laundry piles up again. The kids need help with their homework. Work deadlines loom. A friend needs emotional support. There's never a natural stopping point, so she just keeps going. Before she knows it, she's running on fumes, emotionally drained and physically exhausted, yet still convincing herself that she has to keep pushing forward. The problem is society often praises this kind of self-sacrifice. A woman who puts everyone else before herself is seen as noble, as strong, as admirable. People say, she's such a hard worker. She's always there for everyone. I don't know how she does it all. But what they don't see is the toll it takes. They don't see the sleepless nights, the quiet tears, the moments when she feels like she's barely holding it together. They don't see the anxiety that builds up from constantly running, constantly giving, constantly stretching herself thin. They don't realize that beneath the strength they admire is someone who desperately needs rest. The truth is, no one, not even the strongest, most capable woman, can keep going forever without refueling. At some point, exhaustion turns into burnout, and burnout turns into resentment. She starts feeling irritable, frustrated, overwhelmed. She loses patience with the people she loves, not because she doesn't care, but because she has nothing left to give. She becomes short-tempered, not because she's unkind, but because her emotional reserves are depleted. She starts feeling disconnected from the things that used to bring her joy, not because she doesn't love them anymore, but because she's simply too tired to enjoy them. This is why rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. A woman needs time to recharge, to step away from responsibilities, to do things that bring her peace. She needs to give herself permission to pause, to breathe, to exist outside of what she does for others. Taking care of herself isn't selfish. It's the only way she can continue taking care of the people who depend on her. No one expects a car to keep running without fuel. No one expects a phone to stay on without being charged. Yet women often expect themselves to keep going without ever stopping to refuel their own energy. The key is recognizing that rest is not something that needs to be earned. She doesn't have to prove that she's worked hard enough, sacrificed enough, or done enough to justify taking a break. Rest is a right. It's something she needs in order to be the best version of herself. When she prioritizes her own well-being, she isn't neglecting her responsibilities. She's ensuring that she has the strength to continue fulfilling them. When she takes a step back, she isn't failing. She's making a wise choice to protect her mental, emotional, and physical health. A woman was never meant to run on empty. She was created with purpose, with strength, with resilience, but also with the need for renewal. She is not a machine, she is not invincible, and she is not required to push herself to the brink just to prove her worth. She is valuable not just for what she does, but for who she is. And that means she deserves to rest, to recharge, and to fill her own cup, because when she does, she has so much more to give. A woman's mind is never just occupied with her own thoughts. She carries the emotions, struggles, and burdens of the people she loves. She doesn't just think about her own worries. She internalizes the pain of those around her. If her child is hurting, she feels that pain deeply. If her spouse is stressed, she carries that weight on her shoulders. If her friend is going through a hard time, she takes on that sadness as if it were her own. She isn't just aware of what others are feeling. She absorbs it, processes it, and tries to find a way to help, to fix, to support. This isn't something she chooses. It's simply how she's wired. A woman's heart is deeply connected to the well-being of those she loves. She doesn't just hear someone say they're struggling, she feels it. She replays conversations in her mind, wondering if she said the right thing, if she was supportive enough, if there's more she could have done. She lays awake at night thinking about how to ease someone else's burden, even when her own plate is already full. Her empathy is a beautiful gift, but it also becomes a heavy load. Because of this deep emotional connection, she often puts her own feelings on the back burner. If someone else is hurting, her instinct is to be strong for them. She tells herself she'll deal with her own emotions later, once everything settles down. But the problem is things never really settle down. There's always another crisis, another problem, another person who needs her. And so she continues carrying everything, her own struggles, plus the emotions of everyone around her, until it becomes too much. The world doesn't always recognize this unseen weight she carries. People see her as nurturing, as compassionate, as someone they can always turn to. And while she's honored to be a safe place for others, she sometimes wonders, who is a safe place for me? She gives her time, her energy, her emotional strength so freely, yet rarely does she ask for the same in return. She worries that if she opens up, if she lets others see the weight she's carrying, they'll think she's weak. And so she smiles, she listens, she comforts, while inside she's longing for someone to do the same for her. This emotional weight isn't just a feeling, it takes a real toll on her mind and body. Stress builds up, leading to exhaustion. Anxiety creeps in, making it hard to focus. The constant processing of emotions leaves her mentally drained. She starts to feel fatigued, not just physically, but emotionally, because she's always in a state of carrying, fixing, supporting. She may not even realize it's happening until one day she feels completely overwhelmed and she can't quite figure out why. The truth is, it's not just one thing, it's the accumulation of everything she's been holding inside. That's why she must give herself permission to release some of this weight. She needs a space where she can express her own emotions, where she can be vulnerable without feeling like she has to be the strong one all the time. She needs to remind herself that she is not responsible for fixing everything, for carrying every burden, for making sure everyone around her is okay. She can still be a loving, compassionate person while also protecting her own emotional well-being. She can still support others while setting boundaries that keep her from becoming emotionally drained. A woman's heart is one of the most powerful forces in the world. She has an incredible capacity to love, to nurture, to care, but she must also recognize that her emotions matter too. Her struggles are just as valid. Her need for support is just as real. She was never meant to carry the weight of the world alone, and she must remember that just as she shows up for others, she deserves to have people who show up for her too. A woman's mind is a constant whirlwind of thoughts, responsibilities, and emotions. Even when she appears calm on the outside, her brain is constantly running, thinking about what needs to be done, what she might have forgotten, how everyone around her is feeling, and what tomorrow will bring. She isn't just thinking about one thing at a time, she's managing an entire mental checklist in the background. Did she remember to send that email? Is there enough food in the fridge for dinner? How is her child adjusting to school? Did she forget someone's birthday? Her thoughts never truly settle. This constant mental activity isn't something she chooses, it's simply the way she's wired. She is naturally attuned to the needs of those around her, always anticipating, always planning, always preparing. If her family depends on her, she takes on the role of making sure everything runs smoothly. If she's managing a career, she's thinking not only about today's tasks, but also about long-term goals, deadlines, and expectations. Even in moments that should be restful, like lying in bed at night, her mind doesn't stop. Instead of winding down, she's replaying conversations, worrying about the future, or making mental to-do lists for the next day. This kind of mental overload takes a toll. It becomes exhausting to always be on. A woman may wake up in the morning already feeling tired, not because she hasn't had enough sleep, but because her mind never truly rested. Even in moments of relaxation, she struggles to be fully present. She may be watching a movie with her family, but her mind is drifting to the tasks she has to accomplish. She may be out with friends, but part of her is mentally running through responsibilities waiting for her at home. She's physically there, but mentally she's elsewhere. Always thinking ahead, always preparing. The challenge is that this mental workload often goes unnoticed. People see the meals prepared, the appointments scheduled, the thoughtful gestures, the organized plans, and they assume it all just happens naturally. But behind it all is a woman whose mind is working overtime. She doesn't get the luxury of shutting down completely because there is always something that needs to be done, something that needs to be remembered. And because she manages it so well, people rarely realize how much effort it actually takes. They assume she's just naturally good at multitasking. But the truth is, it's mentally exhausting. This is why so many women struggle with feeling overwhelmed. They're not just tired from physical tasks. They're mentally drained from constantly carrying the weight of planning and problem solving. They long for moments of true peace, moments where they can fully relax without feeling guilty or preoccupied. But often, when they try to rest, their minds fight against them. Instead of enjoying a quiet moment, they feel like they should be doing something productive. Instead of embracing stillness, they feel anxious about what might be slipping through the cracks. It's important for women to recognize that their mental energy is just as valuable as their physical energy. Just like the body needs rest, the mind needs a break too. It's okay to step away from the constant thinking, to take time for stillness, to allow space for peace. It's okay to let go of the pressure to always be one step ahead. True rest isn't just about taking a nap or sleeping in on the weekend. It's about allowing the mind to relax, to pause, to be in the moment without the weight of 1,000 thoughts pressing down. A woman's mind is powerful, capable of incredible strength and wisdom, but it wasn't designed to run nonstop. She must remind herself that she doesn't have to carry everything in her head at once. She doesn't have to solve every problem immediately. She is allowed to rest. She is allowed to set boundaries around her thoughts. And when she does, she will find that her strength doesn't come from constantly thinking and planning. It comes from knowing when to give herself permission to simply be. A woman's life is filled with expectations. Expectations from society, from family, from her workplace, and even from herself. She feels the pressure to be everything to everyone, to be the perfect mother, the devoted wife, the reliable friend, the supportive daughter, the high-achieving employee, the compassionate caregiver. No matter what role she plays, she feels the weight of making sure she's doing it well, flawlessly if possible. And while she may handle it all with grace, deep down the pressure can feel overwhelming. The world often expects a woman to juggle multiple responsibilities seamlessly. She's supposed to keep her home in order, make time for her relationships, excel in her career, be involved in her community, and somehow still take care of herself. If she drops the ball in one area, she feels like she's failing. If she focuses too much on work, she's told she's neglecting her family. If she spends too much time at home, she worries she's not ambitious enough. If she takes a moment for herself, she feels guilty for not using that time to help someone else. No matter what she does, it never seems like enough. This pressure doesn't just come from external sources. It's something she internalizes. She holds herself to impossibly high standards, comparing herself to other women who seem to have it all together. She scrolls through social media and sees other moms baking homemade meals, other professionals achieving major career milestones, other wives planning the perfect date nights, and she wonders, how do they do it all? She doesn't realize that they too are struggling in ways she can't see. Instead, she convinces herself that she needs to try harder, to be better, to do more. But the truth is, no one can be everything to everyone all the time. Trying to meet every expectation is exhausting, and it often leaves a woman feeling stretched too thin. She pours herself into others so much that there's little left for herself. She runs from one responsibility to the next, constantly checking off tasks, constantly making sure everyone else is taken care of. But in the process, she forgets that she too needs care. She forgets that she doesn't have to be perfect. She forgets that it's okay to say no, to set limits, to prioritize her own well-being. The danger of trying to be everything to everyone is that it leads to burnout. A woman can only carry so much before the weight becomes too heavy. And when she finally reaches her breaking point, she may feel guilty for needing rest, as if exhaustion is a sign of weakness rather than a natural response to doing too much. She wonders why she feels so drained, why she's irritable, why she no longer finds joy in the things that once made her happy. But the answer is simple. She's been running on empty for far too long. She must remind herself that she doesn't have to prove her worth by how much she can do. So her value isn't in how perfectly she balances everything. It's in who she is. She is not just a caretaker, a worker, or a provider. She is a human being who deserves the same love and care she so freely gives to others. She must recognize that it's okay to step back, to delegate, to release the unrealistic expectations placed on her. She is not failing when she prioritizes herself. She is setting an example of self-respect and self-care. A woman was never meant to be everything to everyone. She was meant to be herself, strong, loving, capable, but also deserving of rest, of grace, of freedom from impossible expectations. The moment she realizes that she doesn't have to carry it all, that she doesn't have to meet every demand, that she is already enough just as she is, that is the moment she truly begins to live. A woman is naturally nurturing, always thinking about the needs of others before her own. Whether it's her family, friends, co-workers, or even strangers, she instinctively prioritizes their well-being. She makes sure her children are fed before she sits down to eat. She checks in on a friend going through a hard time, even if she's struggling herself. She stays late at work to help a colleague, pushing aside her own exhaustion. Without even realizing it, she puts herself last, not because she has to, but because it feels like the right thing to do. Over time, this selflessness becomes a habit. She doesn't stop to ask herself, what do I need? Because she's too busy making sure everyone else is taken care of. If she has an extra hour in the day, she uses it to finish tasks, help someone, or handle responsibilities. Rarely does she use that time for herself. When someone else is struggling, she steps in without hesitation. But when she is the one who needs support, she tells herself she can handle it alone. She convinces herself that her needs can wait, that her exhaustion isn't as important, that she'll rest when everything else is done. But the truth is, everything is never truly done. The problem with always putting herself last is that it slowly drains her emotionally and physically. She starts to feel tired all the time. But she brushes it off, telling herself she just needs to push through. She may begin to feel unappreciated, wondering if anyone even notices how much she gives. She starts losing pieces of herself, the hobbies she once loved, the dreams she had, the simple joy she used to indulge in, because there just isn't time for them anymore. She's taking care of everyone else, but who is taking care of her? The world often praises women who sacrifice themselves for others, calling them strong, dedicated, and selfless. But what people don't always see is the cost. They don't see the exhaustion, the loneliness, the quiet frustration of never having a moment to breathe. They don't see the silent struggles, the way she carries the weight of everyone else's needs while neglecting her own. And because she's so good at handling it all, no one thinks to ask if she's okay. They assume she's fine because she always has been. But deep down, she knows that constantly putting herself last is not sustainable. It's not selfish for a woman to take care of herself. It's necessary. She can't pour into others if her own cup is empty. She can't continue giving her best to the people she loves if she is running on fumes. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a form of survival. Taking time for herself, whether it's a quiet moment of rest, a hobby that brings her joy, or simply saying no to something that drains her, isn't neglecting others, it's ensuring that she can keep showing up as her best self. The challenge is learning to make herself a priority without guilt. She has to remind herself that her needs matter just as much as everyone else's. She is allowed to take breaks, to ask for help, to set boundaries that protect her time and energy. She doesn't have to wait until she's completely exhausted before she allows herself to rest. She can choose to prioritize her well-being before she reaches the point of burnout. When she does, she'll find that she has even more to give because she is giving from a place of strength, not depletion. A woman is not meant to live her life always coming in last. She is not just here to take care of others. She is here to live, to thrive, to experience joy. She deserves the same love and care she so effortlessly gives to everyone else. The moment she recognizes that her well-being is just as important as those around her, everything begins to change. My friend, if there's one thing I want you to take away today, it's this: you are just as important as the people you care for. You don't have to carry the weight of the world alone. You don't have to be everything to everyone at the cost of your own well-being. It's okay to rest. It's okay to step back. It's okay to say, I need a moment for myself. For too long, you've put yourself last. You've given your time, your energy, your love so freely without stopping to refill your own cup. But how can you continue pouring into others if you are completely drained? How can you show up as your best self if you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and running on empty? You were never meant to live that way. Let me remind you, your value isn't measured by how much you do for others. You are not loved because of how much you sacrifice. You are loved because of who you are. You are worthy of care, of peace, of joy. You are allowed to prioritize yourself without feeling guilty. So today I encourage you to make a choice. Choose to set boundaries that protect your energy. Choose to let go of the pressure to be perfect. Choose to take time for yourself without apology. When you do, you'll find that your strength isn't in how much you can carry, it's in knowing when to let go. You don't have to wait for permission to rest. You don't have to wait for someone to say, it's okay to take care of yourself. This is your permission. This is your moment. You have done enough. You are enough. And now it's time for you to give yourself the same love, the same grace, and the same care that you have so freely given to everyone else. Because, my friend, you deserve it.